Good afternoon. I'm Ian Thompson-Smith, MD of Policing TV, and this afternoon I am very pleased to have with me Josh Hartledge from Advent FS. Hello, Josh. A company that's been specialising in diversion and in the US, and I thought it'd be really interesting to find out a little bit about the environment over there compared to over here, and a bit about the company itself. So, Josh, welcome. First
Thank you.
time on Policing TV, I believe.
First time.
So would you like to just introduce yourself and
Sure.
give us a bit of an overview of diversion and Advent FS?
Sure. Happy to. Thank you. So I'm Josh Hartledge. I'm president and founder of Advent. We started Advent about 20 years ago now. We provide web-based software solutions for local government. So we work in several different areas, but primarily we focus on providing and managing, using our software to manage diversion programs for different types of what we call agencies. And we call them agencies because we deal with a lot of different types of offices. So we work with prosecutors, we work with probation, we work with pretrial, we work with courts, and all different facets. And the reason why is because in the states, it can vary from state to state and even county to county as to who's responsible for providing different types of programming. So we've been working with several different agencies in providing and managing diversion programs.
And I guess, Josh, just jumping in there, for those people who aren't aware, I guess we always take this for granted. Diversion, what is it?
So diversion is basically kind of just what it says, and you're getting around, not getting around something, but you're providing an alternate route for somebody. So in this instance, if someone was caught shoplifting, instead of putting them in jail and really being harsh on them, it's basically providing someone a second chance to say, hey, you know what you've done, let's provide some sort of a program that will that as long as you complete that program, we won't necessarily press charges or have you pay the particular ticket or citation or whatever it might be. So a diversion is just basically alternative sentencing or an alternative route for someone that has typically for someone that has offended in some way. So and that's what we do. We manage the process around those diversions. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of steps to it. So it's somebody that is in a case where they did something, let's say they shoplifted. They're going to perhaps apply for the program. They're going to have to register for the program. They're going to have to be presented the program. And primarily, our focus is on low-level offenses. So and those low-level offenses, meaning first-time offenders, people that are probably just made mistakes and probably more like you and I than folks that are hardened criminals and are going to jail. So it's people that are in that type of situation. So you're really just looking for them to go through some sort of level of programming, and it could, and in our case, a lot of times it's a digital intervention where they go out online, take a course online, but it also might include, you also need to do some level of community service. Or you might have to pay a fine as well, or some sort of a fee type thing. So we manage that whole process for the different agencies, whether it be prosecutors or police or probation officers or whatever, and so that they have a place, a one-stop shop, so to speak, where they can go in to a platform, see where the offender is throughout the process, make sure they're completing what they're supposed to do, and of course at the end, making sure they receive the whether it be a certificate or some sort of an email that comes to them that says you completed what you had to do, and we're going to make the appropriate steps, or take the appropriate steps within the criminal justice system to make sure that you are complete, and you don't have to go any further. You don't have to go to jail for what you've done. So as long as you complete what you're supposed to do. Of course, you have the other side of it where people don't complete what they're supposed to do, and the system tracks that. So that keeps the administrators aware of what's going on, that if they don't do certain steps that you ask them to do, then you might have to go back to square one and say, okay, we are going to press charges on this, which that's not what anyone wants to do. When you're a low-level offender and have just, it's your first offense type thing, really the mode of in the U.S. as well as in the U.K. is essentially to make sure we try to rehabilitate that person and get them back into society, and forgive them for what they've done, as long as they are accountable and complete the actions that we ask them to do. So.
And so, does the agency create the diversion, or is there just standard diversions that you provide?
Sure, that's a good question. So we provide several standard diversions. So we have about 30 different education programs that we provide that are that account for most offenses out there. So again, it's things like shoplifting, underage drinking, anger management type things. Again, kind of low-level offenses type things that we handle. And we provide those. But we also do level 1 and level 2 versions. So if it's the level 1 isn't enough, or if it's somebody that comes back around through the system and they still want to try a diversion with them, then we might give them a level 2, which would be more complex type programming. So instead of just a couple hours of education, they might go through 4 to 8 hours of education instead. But if a agency has their own diversion program, like let's just say that they've come up with their own process that they think is right, or it might be a local anger management class that's given on Sunday nights or something like that, we can help the agencies manage that as well and make that part of the program. What we come across wherever we are, whichever country that we're in, is that the problem is that no one has a good way to manage all these different diversions that they want to offer. So what we do is we say, hey, here's a platform, and instead of you being in what we call spreadsheet hell, in that somebody's got a spreadsheet for this diversion, someone's got it for this one, someone's got it for that one. What Diversion Manager, which is our platform, does is bring that all into one spot, so that an administrator or an agency can properly manage whatever diversion that they offer into one spot. And the driver for most agencies that we work with is the recidivism rate. They want to lower the recidivism rates on how often, obviously people offend again, and they want to lower that. And that's what the whole drive of our platform is, and the drive of anyone that's offering these alternative programs is to do that, is to lower recidivism rates. And what we've found when people utilize our platform and also utilize our digital interventions, that they can lower recidivism rates. We've seen them lowering up to about 46% down from where they are. So that's a dramatic decrease in people reoffending. So it's basically giving them some sort of an alternative option, which is providing some forgiveness, as well as having them do some sort of a education program so that they learn what they've done, and hopefully apply that to their life. So we also focus a lot on like life skills and corrective thinking type programs, so that you get people in the right mindset, so that they know they shouldn't do this again, and hopefully the whole experience makes them realize that what they've done, and that they shouldn't do it again. And the data shows that is exactly what happens. So, but it goes hand in hand, not only the education side of things, but also managing the process itself, and making sure it's timely, and making sure that people are in the know on where you go throughout the process. One of the important things is also the victim notification in the whole process, so that the victim has a say in what these folks do, and our platform allows for that, to make sure that the victim is notified of where the offender is through the process, and when they complete what they're supposed to do, so they make sure that they're up to speed as well. So,
okay, well, I mean, it sounds obvious as this this is something that we obviously want to happen. You've been very successful in the US, 300 plus agencies that you're working with. The US is a huge.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody once told me there was 30,000 different
Mm-hmm.
agencies in the US.
Yeah.
Slightly less in the UK. But what do you see as the big difference between, or is there, in the sense of as you move from the US into the UK and
You
beyond?
know, the major difference that we see between the U.S. and the U.K. market is really just um, who we focus on that actually provides the diversion opportunities. So in the U.S., our main focus and because of where diversions are handled is typically at the prosecutor level, whether it be at the state or the county or even the city level. The prosecutors are the ones that are actually offering the diversions to the offenders. So what that means is that the offender's been caught, they come into court, or they have some relationship or interaction with the prosecutor's office, and the prosecutor says, "Okay, we're gonna go this route. We're gonna try this alternative route with you because we think it would be a good place to start with your offense." In the UK, that process actually starts and is handled at the police level. So in the UK, as those in the UK would know, those are called the out of court resolutions. Is what they would call diversion programs, and those out of court resolutions are actually handled at the police level, and which is very interesting, and quite frankly, I think it's probably a more efficient system because the offender themselves doesn't actually have to touch the prosecutor or have the chance of going into the court. It's actually handled at the police level. So, and essentially could, and we do see this in some police forces across the UK where they actually handle it at the point of catching the person. So they catch the shoplifter coming out of the shop, they can actually cite them and ask them to do an out of court resolution right there, which again, I think it's great because you're catching them earlier in the process before they actually get into the prosecutor, which can cause other issues. So that's one of the biggest differences. But as we get into the looking at diversions and how they're handled, the actual process itself is very similar. So we were lucky, being a software company, we were able to take our software in the U.S. and of course it had to be translated from English to English. But when we did that, we were very lucky in that didn't cause we didn't have to do a whole lot of changes to the process because it's very similar process. It's just more of who's the point of contact for us, and we find it at the police level rather than at the prosecutor level, primarily the prosecutor level over in the States. So, but that's the biggest difference, I'd say. And I think the exciting thing for us in the UK is that one, there's really not a platform that really is focused on managing end-to-end out-of-court resolutions. So that's exciting, and one of the reasons why we decided to come into the market was there really isn't out there. It's really just most forces handle their out-of-court resolutions through just spreadsheets. So we're able to come in and provide a platform and give them that backbone that they need for the processes to make sure that they.
Well, it's definitely a hot topic. I know this. We're recording this on the 14th of July, so I'm not quite sure when this is going to be published, but in a couple of weeks' time. But tomorrow we've got a piece. Ben Toomey is interviewing Matthew Bacon on. He's a criminologist on diversion in the UK. It's very, very interesting, very hot topic. Some big wins that can be achieved through successfully applying diversion at the right point.
That's exactly right.
Efficiently managing the whole process. So,
what we've heard is that the country basically wants to go. Currently, I think only 4% of crime is handled through out-of-court resolutions, and the country really wants it to be up to 40%. So, putting your business hat on from our side of things, we're like, that's an incredible opportunity for us, but also from the social side of things, it's really a great thing within the UK to have that type of focus and to have that drive. And it seems like the country is really pushing that and hoping to get to that level because I think it's good for everybody. It's going to. I know that there's overcrowding in jails. in the UK just as in the US. But and I know that is a big issue. But I think this change and this of going to this tier 2 process that they're doing within the police forces is going to be a big change for folks. But at the same time, it's something that is going to be good for everyone. You know, the thing that we're seeing is that a lot of if you look at the forces today, about half of them have already moved to the 2 tier. But I think none of them are ready for the volume of activity that is going to come from this, because you really can't manage those processes through spreadsheets. You really have to have something that not only captures the data, but also drives the processes, because I think otherwise, I think they're going to get overwhelmed, and it's not going to be successful. So, but I think there's a tremendous opportunity. But that is one of the other dilemmas within the UK is essentially the cost dilemma in all this. They want these programs, they want this platform, but at the end of the day, there's not always the funding that's there. And again, I know that there's a drive to go to where 40% of crime is handled through out of court resolutions. But to do that, you need to have something to manage it. One of the problems is that there's not the funding, and one of the things that we do that's unique is, and we do this a lot in the U.S., is that we do an offender paid model, which is somewhat controversial, I would say, in the U.K. But I'm seeing that more and more forces are coming to this, and that is asking the offender to pay for the platform for the programming that they're being asked to do. Now, if you talk to the constituents and you ask them, hey, if Ian stole, and again, Ian is not a habitual criminal, he just happened to steal once, you know, do you think that you as the taxpayer should pay for Ian? They're probably going to say no. So that is something that is of interest that we're starting to see some evolving within the forces. And in fact, we do have one customer within the UK, Staffordshire, who utilizes our platform now, and they were an early adopter, and that's their entire model and it's an offender paid model. So they look at it as these are low level offenders, not necessarily low income offenders, low level offenders, that we want to ask them to pay for this, because frankly, the funding just isn't there to afford what they really need to drive these programs. If they really want to get to a 40% handling of crime, there's going to be a need for funding, and unfortunately, if it's not there, they need to look for alternative ways to do it. I will say 90+% of our customers in the U.S., that's exactly how they do everything, is on an offender paid model, whether right or wrong. But
understood.
you know,
I think we do have, I guess, the lowest level of diversion that most people come across is if you get caught speeding and you get your 3 points, exactly, and then you can actually pay to not get your points, which isn't quite the level you've been talking about, but I think it's a model that people are familiar with, and
yeah.
I would hope it should. And Staffordshire are really good friends of Policing TV, so it's one of those things that maybe we could do a follow-up.
Oh yeah,
get their understanding of how they've implemented it. That would be a really good.
Well, to be fully transparent, Staffordshire was offender paid prior to us coming along, so it was just a natural fit because we were already very attuned to that type of thinking and how they approach things. So our system was a natural fit for them. But as we go along, and we've talked to several different forces. We'll talk to them and they'll kind of say, yeah, no, we don't want to do offender paid. And I think they kind of look back and they say, okay, well, how are we going to pay for this? And then they come back and say, okay, we do want to do offender paid. We want to try that and see how that works. And again, I think that, you bring up a good point. The speeding is very much like what we're talking about here, because you're dealing with folks that are, everyone probably speeds to some extent. Not everyone's going to steal something, but when they're a first-time offender, they're really closer to the speeder than they are to the person that needs to be in jail. And that's kind of what we try to get across to them, that give it a chance. And we set up things like funds where if they can't afford it, the police force has the opportunity to give it to them for free. We do accommodate those things, but the vast majority of the folks, that you're catching stealing have a cell phone, have a place to live, have a job, and so they can afford. They don't like it, they don't want to, but but it isn't a bad a way to look at these programs or whatever. And quite frankly, I think you're going to see more and more of that as we go on. So, but
That's a good point to end on, Josh. Really appreciate the time. Thank you ever so much for joining us all the way over from Kentucky.
Kentucky, that's right. See my bottle of bourbon there, made right here in Kentucky.
Look forward to some good follow up with the likes of Staffordshire. So take care, Josh. Thank you very
Thanks, Ian.
much.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.